Hey there. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather pay $12.50 a month or $175 a month for healthcare in early retirement? Same retiree, same health plan. The difference? Just one account saving $12,900 a year. This is an example of the power of funding your retirement from a type of account when you're retiring prior to Medicare kicking in. If you want to retire before 65, healthcare can feel like a brick wall. It's one of the biggest things that make people shy away from early retirement. But what if I told you that the account you withdraw from could be the key to unlocking massive subsidies and slashing your healthcare premiums? Let's break down the strategy. I'm Mike Upland, early retired, age 55, and now a self-proclaimed tax planning nerd. Today, I'm going to share with you how a taxable brokerage account, not an IRA or a 401k, and not a Roth, can help you qualify for Affordable Care Act subsidies and save thousands in early retirement. We're going deep on the tax treatment of different accounts, how to legally show less income on paper, and why your withdrawal strategy is so important. Here's the setup. You're 55, you're retired, and need $60,000 a year to live on. If you withdraw that $60K from your IRA or 401k, it's all taxed as ordinary income. Why? Because that money went in pre-tax and it grew tax deferred. So now Uncle Sam wants his money, and he's going to treat every dollar you pull out like a paycheck. So when you withdraw $60K, that's $60K of income added to your tax return, and it all counts towards your modified adjusted gross income, or MAGI, which is exactly what determines your healthcare subsidy under the ACA. Now compare that to a taxable brokerage account. You want $60K to live on? You sell $60K worth of investments, like shares in a low-cost index ETF. But here's the trick. You choose which shares to sell. You could start by selling shares with the highest cost basis, or in other words, the ones that have appreciated the least. And as long as you've held those shares for more than a year, your gains are taxed at the long-term capital gains rate, which is much lower than ordinary income. That means your taxable gain might only be $10K, not $60K. So on paper, your income is much lower, and lower MAGI means a bigger ACA subsidy. Let's break down capital gains in the case you're not familiar with them or it's just been a while. There's two kinds. There's both short-term and long-term capital gains. Short-term capital gains are from investments held 1 year or less, and they're taxed at your ordinary income rate. Long-term capital gains come from investments held more than a year, and they're taxed at reduced rates. Here are the 2025 long-term capital gains tax bracket rates so you can find where you'd fall, and I'll provide a link to this information in the description. So by looking at this information, we can see if you're married and your taxable income is under $96,700, you could pay 0% on your gains. This is where brokerage accounts shine and why it so matters whichever accounts you are using to fund your retirement. And what's great about using a taxable brokerage account to fund your early retirement is it lets you choose how much income actually shows up on your tax return. Unlike an IRA or 401k, where every dollar you withdraw is fully taxed, period. With a brokerage account, you control which investments to sell, which specific shares to sell. As I mentioned, you could sell the ones with the highest cost basis first to reduce your capital gains. So you're controlling how much of your withdrawal shows up as income, and that's real tax control. If you need $60K and your gains are only $10K, that's all you report as income. With an IRA or 401k withdrawal, the entire $60K is income and taxed that way. And again, the $10K is taxed as long-term capital gains versus a $60K withdrawn from an IRA or 401k where the entire amount is taxed as ordinary income. So let's use a real life example. Let's say John needs $60,000 to fund his retirement for a year. He sells shares of a total stock market ETF from his brokerage account that he originally bought for $50K and held for over a year. That's a $10,000 long-term capital gain. Because his income is low and he's married, those gains fall in the 0% tax bracket. Only $10K counts towards his MAGI. This keeps his reported income low and gets him a massive ACA subsidy. Before his planning, he estimated his health insurance premium was $1,250 per month. After, just $175 per month. So for his first year of early retirement, he saved $12,900 per year on health insurance premiums. Under the Affordable Care Act, subsidies are based on your modified adjusted gross income, and they scale with income. The lower your MAGI, the more subsidy you get. That said, you don't want to go too low either. If your income drops below 100% of the federal poverty level, you might actually lose access to ACA subsidies altogether, unless you qualify for Medicaid. And this is where it really depends on where you live. If you're in a Medicaid expansion state, you're probably fine. You'd be shifted into Medicaid, which is low or no cost. But if you're in a non-expansion state like Texas, Florida, Georgia, or South Carolina, and your income is below the poverty line, you could fall into what's called the coverage gap. That means your income is too low for ACA subsidies, but you also don't qualify for Medicaid under your state's stricter rules. So you could end up with no affordable health insurance at all. The bottom line is you want to keep your income above the poverty level, especially if you're in a non-expansion state, to avoid falling through the cracks. Planning your withdrawal strategies from a brokerage account helps you control your MAGI and stay in the sweet spot, not too high and not too low. Now you might be wondering, but hey Mike, why not just use a Roth? So here's the deal with Roths. Roth withdrawals are completely tax-free. They also don't count towards MAGI, which helps with ACA planning. So yes, Roth accounts can absolutely support the strategy, but they're limited in a few ways. Contribution limits are low, $7,000 per year in 2025 if you're under 50 and $8,000 if you're 50 or older. And you can't contribute if your income is too high. Phase-outs start at $150,000 per year for single filers and $236,000 in income for married couples filing jointly. And you're fully ineligible above $165,000 for single filers and $246,000 for married filers. So as a result, many people don't have large Roth balances by retirement. So while Roths are great, you may not have enough in them to fund 5 to 10 years of early retirement prior to Medicare kicking in at age 65. And here's another big one about Roths. If you're under the age of 59 and a half, you generally can't access Roth earnings without a penalty. You can withdraw your contributions from a Roth at any age without penalty. However, to withdraw earnings tax-free, you must be at least 59 and a half and have held the account for at least 5 years. This age restriction also applies to traditional IRAs and 401ks unless you use the rule of 55 with your current employer's 401k. That lets you start penalty-free withdrawals if you separate from your job at age 55 or later and withdraw from your 401k with the employer you just left. But for anyone retiring before that age, you need something more flexible. And again, that's where the taxable brokerage account is the superhero. It gives you access to money without age restrictions, lets you control how much income you report, and helps you qualify for ACA subsidies. So how do you get one? It's easy. A taxable brokerage account is easy to set up. You can open one at E-Trade, Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, or just about any online broker. You don't need a huge lump of money to start either. Fund it gradually, especially if you've already maxed out your 401k, traditional or Roth IRA, and HSA. Once those are full, your money should then go into a brokerage account. Now, one thing I need to also mention is this whole strategy hinges on one thing: the Affordable Care Act staying in place. And while it's been around for over a decade, there's no guarantee it sticks around forever. Trump has repeatedly said he wants to replace it. But as of today, there's no detailed replacement plan, nothing voted on, and nothing concrete. Could it change in the future? Yes, of course, absolutely. Will it? That depends on who's in office, what Congress looks like, and whether a viable alternative ever appears. So you need to evaluate your risk tolerance with this. If losing ACA subsidies would throw off your retirement plan, have a viable plan B. Personally, I think major repeal is politically unlikely because millions rely on it, so it's very popular, and it feels like it would be political suicide to affect it drastically. But still, it's your future, so plan accordingly. If this helped you rethink your retirement planning strategy, or maybe saved it, or this helped you determine to retire early, or you just like the content and what I had to say, the best way to show your appreciation is to like this video and share it and subscribe. And comment. I'd love to hear from you. I truly mean that. And I'll do my best to reply to each one. This is the best gift you could give to me as it motivates me, and your engagement tells the almighty YouTube algorithm to push this content to more people so more people can learn from what I'm sharing, and that's really my goal, to share what I've learned to help others. Thank you for watching, and when you're on the go, listen to my Early Retirement Roadmap podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to know all about healthcare options in early retirement, watch this next video I made that goes over them all very comprehensively. And to leave you on a final note, one word of caution about investing in a taxable brokerage account: make sure you do not invest in an index mutual fund, and watch this video on how it cost me in the past $17,000. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Take care and make the most of today.